Good morning, St. Lucia. Thank you so much here at the National Television Network studios, coming to you live. Lisa Joseph alongside Homer DeMarc. As always, we're ending the week. Moi Heritage Creole, getting closer to that day that we celebrate as a Journée Creole. We'll be telling you much more about that and the protocols for Sunday. That's very important for the entire weekend moving into the next week. So very important. We'll be updating you on that momentarily. And Homer, yesterday, as we had said, that today we'll be having some great conversation, serious conversation, because it really does impact all of our lives and how we will be able to move forward from into the future, because we need a safe environment for us to be able to exist. And so we are having a conversation this morning on climate change. This is the problem of climate change, but the actions that can be taken. And as you know, around this time each year, there's the Global Climate Conference that takes, and it's COP for short. And this year we're at 26. So we're at COP 26. And so we'll be speaking with the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator. We'll be getting to know much more about what this organization is all about. And we'll be speaking with the CEO right after Homer gives us a greetings.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to start the day with the morning update, because we can, of course, join you and give you pertinent information that could help you, further along your day. So if you are joining us on channel 122, our media channels as well, thank you so much for joining us. It is Friday, and bon heritage Creole, bon fête Creole. It doesn't matter if you're doing it, small gatherings within your week. Well, not gatherings, because the gatherings are something you should stay away from. But if you guys are having lunch, taking your food, going back to your desk, we do that, and you are going to enjoy it. So yes, today we are joining the CEO of the Accelerator program, and she's going to be giving us all the information that we need to know about COP26, in addition to what we can do to ensure that we're meeting that mark, 1.5. We know that is the goal that we're trying to reach. And in the past COP, it was a big campaign, one that we see some progress from what I'm reading. So hopefully Ms. Moses can give us a little more information on that.
And so that to happen, let's join Ms. Racquel Moses, the Chief Executive Officer for the Caribbean Smart Accelerator. She's based at and Tobago. Ms. Moses, good morning to you, joining us via Zoom.
Morning.
Oh, beautiful, radiant red there. You are looking as bright as the sunshine down in Trinidad and Tobago.
Listen, we have to keep optimistic, we have to keep hopeful, and we have to keep vibrant, because as Caribbean people, that's who we are.
Wonderful. Let's get started with our conversation by telling us more about the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator. I know it's not an organization that most people are familiar with, but it was set up by the great Sir Richard Branson. A lot of people know him as a billionaire, but he's such a philanthropist, and he's very passionate about the environment and climate issues. Talk to us about the Accelerator, the work that you do, and perhaps some of the accomplishments of achievements you've seen thus far.
All right, great. So I'll tell you, the Accelerator was established. It was the idea of the Prime Ministers of Grenada, Dominica, and St. Lucia back in after the 2017 hurricane season, and they approached Richard Branson, who is a phenomenal philanthropist and has been unbelievably supportive of our work. And the goal of the Accelerator was to do a couple things. One, to aggregate projects to create economies of scale across the region, because working individually, our projects tend to be too small. Bring funding and financing to the region, so getting new sources of funding in and matchmaking those with projects, getting new ideas and new solutions to the table, creating jobs, and bringing innovation and the private sector to work with the public sector on the implementation of climate solutions. So those are the things that we were organized to do. And one of the things that we're taking to COP is a resilience scorecard that we've developed. We have over 63 projects that we have in development. 12 of them are currently active. and they include creating blended financial instruments to fund solar, for example, also the resilience scorecard that I mentioned, and entrepreneurship program in Jamaica to create indoor farming as a part of our resilience and our climate adaptation, among other things that we're working on.
When I just want to quote you saying that the climate change is an extension of the Caribbean region. It is also an opportunity for the world to maximize the opportunities and innovation in the blue and green economy, rebuilding sustainable nations and economies where all stakeholders partner for a better future. Can you expound on that for us? And because a lot of people simply think of climate change as this great disaster and almost as if you paralyzed, just waiting for it to happen. So, because these words there spoken by you speaks to me, it shows that one of hope, and certainly that there are actionable things that can be done, that we're simply not mere sitting ducks.
Yes, absolutely. So when we think about climate action, based on the commitments that have already been made, Morgan Stanley estimates that we need to be spending $50 trillion by 2050 to implement those solutions. That $50 trillion represents investment, represents jobs, and we need to be taking advantage of that. What we don't want is to sit by and allow other nations to create the solutions, and then suddenly we're like, oh, here's this massive opportunity that we've missed. So we need to be creating solutions like Johann Dujon of St. Lucia, who created using sargassum to create biofuels, for example. We want to see more of those kinds of innovations. We're working with entrepreneurs here and in Jamaica, and creating a call for entrepreneurs. If you are an entrepreneur that developed a solution, we help to pair you with a philanthropist able to fund that solution. So you can go to our website at CaribbeanAccelerator.org and send us an email at hello@CaribbeanAccelerator.org and let us know about what you're working on. We can introduce you to different solutions. We're also working with a new project, billionaire Mark Laurie out of the US. He's building a city called Tolosa, and they're looking for new solutions as well. So we have an opportunity to create jobs, to create revenue from these things. And the more that we think about this as a cost center, the more we lose out on the opportunity to cash in.
Well, when we speak about the blue economy, and certainly we have that resource in abundance here in the Caribbean, being surrounded by the old waters, I think too that these are areas, the blue and green economy, that for now, they simply remain buzzwords. Can you perhaps give a little insight into exactly what the blue and green economy is all about and how we can begin to explore those areas for economic prosperity?
Absolutely. So we're seeing all kinds of innovations that we really want to see being brought to the region and created in the region. For example, there are some small examples of people using seawater for cooling, and that would be a great solution for our tourism industry, for example. The blue economy, and we're moving from calling ourselves small island developing states to big ocean states because we have more ocean than we have land mass. And that, again, represents the optimism that we'd like to see. Anything that is close to the shoreline or involving the ocean, whether it is coral reef planting or learning about conservation in the ocean or sustainable fishing, all of those things are blue economy type jobs and projects that we want to see more of. But there needs to be better understanding and better information sharing about these opportunities so that people can get involved. A lot of the people that we talk to don't even know that they're in the economy space. And so it's really important that we get ourselves educated.
And on the green economy aspect?
And on the green economy, it's all about our food sustainability and on-land conservation. So we really do want to see that as well. So the project that we're starting in Jamaica, which is in partnership with Grace Kennedy, we're creating indoor farming that then the supply of that indoor farming goes directly to Grace Kennedy, that is a huge conglomerate across the region. They own a number of grocery stores, etc. And in doing that, the youth, the at-risk youth who are creating these farms, these indoor farms, then have a ready market, but they're also learning about selling produce, etc., and creating solutions for our food security. And then we have that project that once we pilot it, then we can take it through the rest of the region so that we are participating in our own food security. And that's just one example of the green economy and some things that we can do.
And I'm thinking, that certainly for us to be able to be more vibrant in those areas, the education aspect, the awareness aspect, obviously Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator, the CCSA, sort of partnering with whether it be educational institutions across the region, groups across the region, fishers and so forth.
So we have, from the very onset, before I even started, we were partners with UWI, and UWI has been a tremendous support. The research that they're doing and the accomplishments that they've had on a global scale, contributing to the IPCC reports that are telling us how much we need to do to be able to reach the objectives that we've set. And so certainly we partner with them. We've also collaborated with the university out of Silicon Valley called Minerva, and they have revolutionized the way that education is delivered. And we have collaborated with them as well. But we need to meet more with you, like the media, and to just make sure that we are strong in terms of our social media and partnering with other entities that have a great presence to ensure that the information gets out, that there are opportunities, that there is money available, that we want to be able to aggregate projects and pair those projects with entrepreneurs or with private sector who have projects that have the ability to transform the region.
And yeah, absolutely. Funding is always a very key in any of those initiatives that need to be undertaken. And talk about funding in the more of the aspect of some of our wider climate change activities in just a bit. Let me hand over to Herma, who has a few questions.
Racquel, you've been providing so much insight for us as to, the actions that can be taken to ensure we're reaching that necessary goal of 1.5 when it comes to low carbon emissions. And, one of the things that people think about when they think of climate change, it has been synonymous with COP, which is the climate conference. But just by listening to you speak, it really does seem like it takes lifestyle changes for us to reach that. So it's not something that we're working towards every year, but it's lifestyle changes to ensure we're maintaining that.
So true. And, it takes, you're absolutely right. It takes a change in mindset first and then changing our lifestyles thereafter. But unless we change the way that we think about climate, we're not going to change the things that we do about climate. And so that's what we want to focus on as well, changing the way that people think about climate so that they see the opportunities and they go after them. Especially in the region. A lot of the solutions that we're seeing are coming out of the very countries that created this problem. They can't be the sole beneficiaries of the problem that they created. That's like somebody coming in to rob your house and then suddenly the insurance pays them. No, it can't work that way. So we have to be able to seize the opportunities in this crisis and think about the way that we have a chance to actually solve it. Because if we don't believe that we can solve the problem, then we're correct and we're stuck.
And so through the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator, it sounds like you're providing the information to kind of power the ideas.
We hope so, and we're doing our best certainly. But more than that, we're working across the 28 governments that are partner countries with ours and aggregating projects. So where they have projects that need support, whether it is technical support or financial support or solution support, where there are problems that they're trying to solve that don't have a ready solution created yet, then we work with them to be able to identify where can we pair them with other countries that are working through the same challenges, and where can we bring in the private sector to work on those challenges with them, and where can we bring philanthropy to help move things forward.
All right. So if I were an individual who figured, there's this problem that I think I can solve, but I'm not sure where to start, how do I contact the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator to get a foot in or to start that process?
You can certainly contact us on any of our social. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. But you can also just go to our website at CaribbeanAccelerator.org and go to contact us and send us an email. If you send us the email at hello@CaribbeanAccelerator.org and you have an idea or you have a solution, we'll be happy to pair you either with a government that is looking to solve that problem, a private sector person who is also working to solve the issue, or potentially philanthropists. I will tell you, we have far more money available for blue economy projects than we have for other types of projects. We have so many philanthropists contact us saying, we're looking for viable, revenue-generating projects in the blue economy, and what we require of those entrepreneurs is they know how much money they want and how that money will be used and what the potential returns are. And so we can even provide support and pair you with someone who can help you work through those details. But we need to get access to more projects.
Nice.
Let's talk about the big wig now, COP, COP26. That's taking place in Glasgow this year. But just, are we traveling, the Caribbean delegation, with that going up there in Glasgow, or happening in the COVID environment?
Yeah, so there actually will not be as many delegations as before, and the delegations are certainly going to be smaller. But we have a sizable number of people and delegations coming from the Caribbean. CARICOM will be there, the OECS will be there, and a lot of our regional institutions, because we are demanding action on the global scale. Our Minister for the Environment in Grenada, Minister Simon Steele, will be there. He's been working highest levels also with me, representing the region on our ask to make sure that we are taken seriously.
So let's talk more about the issues that remain on the table since that Paris agreement, that historic agreement reached. Financing still remains at the very top of those concerns. That $1 billion, or $100 billion, pardon me, $100 billion, but the pledges are not being fulfilled as yet. So we still seeing the shortfall in being able to meet that pledged target. So what are the thoughts going in for discussion on the financing for climate change initiatives?
You've hit the nail on the head. What we need to see, not only we need to see more commitments, but more commitments followed through. The thing is, it works kind of like a funnel. You have the commitments at the top, and then the commitments that actually get realized in the middle, and then what you actually get to implement down at the end. And we don't even have the top level, all of the commitments fulfilled. So we're falling short of the 100 billion. We're thinking we'll get there by 2023, but we need more commitments, but we also need greater tracking of those commitments. So even with the Paris commitments and the mitigation targets, you're seeing a lot of countries, the UN is calling for greater commitment, but I'm calling for greater action, because you can commit as much as you want. We are still falling short of the commitments that have been made. So making more commitments is good if you plan to follow through with it. And I think what gets measured gets done. And we are volunteering as an institution to aggregate information about how we measure who is doing what they say they're going to do. And you will see a lot of information on our website about different sources to track what's happening in your particular country in terms of reduction of carbon emissions, although we're not big emitters, also with regard to how we're progressing on our adaptation plans.
Okay. And on the matter of resilience, as you mentioned there, people can track to see what's really happening country-wise. But you speak about certain tools to be able to assess the resilience of the countries within the Caribbean. What exactly is that? Can you explain that for us?
Absolutely, and this is one of the projects that I'm most excited about. We're working as a part of a working group and a coalition to develop a resilience scorecard. Now, the countries that are currently doing it are Barbados, Bermuda, Cayman, and Dominica. So they have piloted the resilience scorecard. And how the resilience scorecard works is that countries identify what their resilience priorities are and how important it out of the entire set of things that they're working on. And that can indicate to a source of donor funding where countries want philanthropists and donor agencies to focus and how resilient they are. Now, it's either that countries are very resilient, meaning that they are ready for investment and they can attract foreign direct investment, or they are not sufficiently resilient by their own estimation, and they need to attract funding to build that level of specificity in terms of what needs to be done. And it also allows agencies like ours to be able to aggregate. So let's say implementation of renewable energy and energy security is an issue across 4 or 5 countries. Then we can aggregate those projects for one, let's say, government of Germany or government of UK, and they can say, okay, we have $200 million worth of projects, and you can do one implementation that addresses resilience across a number of islands.
How much work is the Accelerator doing with alongside the government of the region when it comes to, especially for the smaller islands, when it comes to being able to access financing, the concessionary rate, and not given financing based via your GDP and forth? So how is the Accelerator assisting in that? I know it has been a long-standing issue for the Caribbean islands.
It has been, and I have to applaud Selwyn Hart, Special Advisor to the Secretary General of the UN. He's from Barbados, and he has been championing this cause for us as well. But the thing is, we are being penalized for being resilient by not being able to access concessionary finance. There are certain areas where we shouldn't have to borrow at all, because building our climate adaptation can't be something that we didn't cause, but suddenly we have to pay for. So I really understand when we're talking about climate mitigation and the cash flows that allows us to unlock, absolutely we can spend money on that. But on climate adaptation, there has to be more free capital that is available and concessionary capital. We cannot borrow our way out of this. It's not fair, it's not just, it's not justice. And so even just identifying what does it mean to measure our vulnerability as a factor in determining the kind of financing that we're able to access. And what we're asking the multilaterals for is, what is that process? Just tell us what that process is to be able to measure our vulnerability and factor that into the funding that's available. And that we've not been able to get a straight answer on.
Now, we know, Ms. Moses, that, you are working with the Climate Accelerator. I also have to say congratulations to you, because you have the only ambassador from the Caribbean alongside names like for when it comes to climate. So we have to, of course, congratulate you for that. How has that been for you?
Thank you. And as it's been humbling, I must tell you. And I think Michael Bloomberg and the other ambassadors are amazing. Their list of accomplishments far exceed mine. But I am more humbled because of the people that I represent. Caribbean people have been historically phenomenal. And, we've created Bob Marley and Mia Motley. So when I think about the people that I take with me and the people that I'm representing at Glasgow, that just gives me pause and causes me to be quiet inside and to listen not only to the voices who are crying out for help now, but our ancestors who also just deserve better than the situation that we're in.
And also speaking for the people of the Caribbean and the Caribbean islands, with our programs when it comes to climate change, I would think would differ quite slightly from some of the bigger countries.
Definitely. And, I'm also the only representative from a small island developing state or a big ocean state. So, I take them with me as well. So the likes of Fiji and Vanuatu and other Pacific Island states, I'm speaking on all of our behalf to make sure that this COP is a just and action-oriented COP.
All right. And in preparing for it, are there any things in particular that you may like to share with us that you would, you're looking forward to touching on at COP?
Yes, so we're asking primarily for 4 things at COP. One is greater climate action, not greater commitments, but greater action. The second thing that we're asking for is to be able to pair the projects that we have and to aggregate more projects to be able to pair them with money available. We are certainly asking for more money. That is, it's a non-negotiable. More money has to come to the table, and we need to understand where that money is coming from and where that money is going to. And then we certainly want to suggest our resilience scorecard as a measure not just for the region, but for the globe, in how we measure resilience across the globe as we prepare ourselves for the inevitable changes that will occur. But we're also, across all of those, we're advocating for greater measurement and transparency in that measurement. Understanding what happened in 2020 and 2023, given the urgency of the situation, is not acceptable. We have to start tracking in real time. And so that is one of the things that we want to advocate for. And we're not saying, listen, use somebody else over there, go and measure. We're willing to aid in the process of tracking. We're willing to be the conduit that tracks. But we need to have access to the data, and that's what we're advocating for as well.
And just before I head over to Lucia, COVID-19 is something that has been affecting everybody across, not only the economies or societies, but all professions as well. And while some people see it as opportunities, others see it more as a hindrance. How has COVID-19 affected your work?
It's been good and bad. And I think it's been true with everything. You can find the positives in it. It's been good for us in that there's been less travel. The environment has had a chance to adjust and to recover a little bit. But you see things ramping back up and the environment is again under threat. But it also has been good in that people haven't been traveling, and so we can reach them. And we've been a lot more engaged with folks that we normally would have to chase for weeks and months. So that's been the good part of it. The other good thing out of COVID-19 has been that governments now need to focus on recovery plans, and those recovery plans need to be green recovery plans. And projects that had been stalled are now being looked at as opportunities to create jobs and to create a more sustainable and an even better future than the past that we had. So we can focus on the things that are going wrong. I am heartbroken every time I read the loss of life that's taking place, but we have to look at the things that are positive coming out of this and latch on to those so that we can make those expand exponentially.
Okay, so the race to zero and race to resilience, once you bring that message across to COP, tell me about some of how are we sort of making it more humanized? How are we making it relatable to some of the individuals of the Caribbean? And that is possible. They do not know about the individual countries, what of our lifestyles, how we depend so much on the environment, how we need to keep that environment safe, and the threats that we face. So are there any particular initiatives to really bring forth that human spirit and element to our arguments at COP26?
Yes, so we'd like to use the voices of our advocates. The Virgin Unite and the Virgin team, they have a phenomenal global platform. They have been amazing for us, and they are working with us to get the messaging out. We have our advocates, Sean Paul, Usain Bolt. We're also working with them, and Brian Lara, who's been tremendous and supportive of us. So hoping to use those voices again to get the message out that we need to be heard. We need the attention of the globe at this point. We need the funding, and we need to get these projects up and off the ground. So we're hoping that to amplify the voices of the advocates who work on our behalf. We are welcoming any additional advocates. We are in touch with and we work with Rihanna's Lionel Foundation, and they do phenomenal work. And we're actually hosting a panel on the 10th of November at COP with the head of her foundation to talk about some of the amazing work that they've done on health centers and building resilience across health infrastructure in the region. So we are hoping to pull out all the stops, to use everything at our disposal to try and get the attention of the parties that be, the people with the purse strings who have the ability to help us. And to also let them know that we're not coming just with a hat in hand, but we also have solutions that we have to offer. And they should take those into consideration.
What about just in our comments, Racquel, while asking for all of the governments of those nations to act, so what can we do first at the government level here in the region and as equals for us to ensure our safety against climate change as well? Because on home spoke to the lifestyle that it would really take that, but just a bit deeper into it, level and at the people's level.
At the government level, greater awareness needs to be created around what's being done. I know that there are phenomenal strides being made in UCS, and so we want to make sure that awareness and information and sharing the data where it's available with people so that people have the ability to take decisions. Also making people aware of the opportunities that exist, promoting entrepreneurship, promoting farming and food security, promoting energy security, developing policies that can allow developers to come in and take on projects that have the ability to generate a return, working with us on sharing their projects so that we can help to get these projects funded. And on the people side, it is getting yourself educated. We will share as many resources as we are aware of to hold your governments accountable and to make sure that you understand where they are, understand what they're doing, and you keep them on track and keep this in focus. This is the fight of our lifetime. It is a race to be won, but it is a race we can win. We are racing to zero and we can do this. I know that we can do this. I feel this inside my every atom. We can do this, but we just have to get serious. And so, not saying that there hasn't been tremendous strides, but we need to do so much more, so much faster.
And as we edge closer to COP, 2 more days, Racquel, sometimes in the Caribbean, you know, we always like to talk about, and I know you say that down in Trinidad and Tobago, well, all them talk shops. I give us some reassurance this time around, Racquel, at least from the Caribbean perspective, that really that when allegations are up there, it's really not just about people going out and sightseeing and, you know, people beating the chest at a table and being intellectual in their discussions, but that the interest of the Caribbean and its peoples is what really is what initiatives like the Accelerator and the rest of the Caribbean delegations would be doing in Glasgow.
Yeah, I agree, you know, and I have the same worry. So what we plan to do is to indicate on a daily basis what has changed, what actions are being committed, what actions are being taken, and how are we tracking these actions to delivery. So we want to make sure that this is absolutely more than a talk shop. The carbon footprint of this event needs to be worth it. This can't be something where we have a chit chat and then we go back home and things continue as they have been. We've been talking about tipping point, make a break, you know, point of no return. We are there. The time for talk done.
I love how you've ended. I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And I do hope that as the COP26 begins, that we'll be able to have some updates from you. And you will be in Glasgow, correct?
I will be in Glasgow, and you will have our daily updates on what has transpired and the wins that we've had, as well as the things that have disappointed us. But we want to focus on the forward motion. Anything that creates momentum, that's what we want to focus on.
Very well. Thank you so much there for that. And thank you for doing all of this work for the Caribbean. I know it's not always at the forefront of our minds as a Caribbean peoples, but with people like you, quite capable there, ensuring, you know, protecting us, like it's just a hidden angel, really protecting our interests. We want to thank you so much for that service that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And I have an amazing team. I'm so grateful for them and the work that they do and the tireless, you know, our days start sometimes at 3 a.m. And I think sometimes people think of, oh, climate change, that's the in thing. It's grunt work, but we are passionate and we are tireless in the execution. And we are grateful for your support, because without your support getting the word out, we won't be able to get the people to understand what needs to happen.
Thank you so much, and safe travels over to Glasgow, and we're looking forward to the updates. We've been speaking there with the Chief Executive Officer for the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator. She's also a global ambassador on matters being climate change and resilient, Ms. Racquel Moses. So when we coming back, Irma, we're getting into more fun stuff on the lighter side. More heritage Creole. Stay with us. We're coming on back.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know all the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate? All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about how will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join revolution.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives, and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funds from the GEF's grants program, UNP.
Good food revolution.
And thank you so much for staying with the morning update with Lucia and Irma. And so, Irma, the month October is fast coming to a close, and we'll be saying hello to November.
We will be, yes.
Sweet November.
Something to look forward to.
You're not acknowledging the tone in which I'm saying November.
Yes, I am.
Or are you?
That's what I'm doing.
It?
I'm ignoring.
In the same way I'm so passionate about October, so is Irma passionate about November.
Yes, we are.
But, you know, as we've been saying all along, my heritage Creole, that's going to culminate Sunday. And traditionally, we would have had our Jeanette Creole. All of the communities would be able to get out there, hop in our vehicle, and travel around the island, visit friends and family, really have a grand old feast. But we're not able to do that for the second time around to COVID-19. Just fix a mask there. That's part of, COVID sign. So the times that we're in. And so a lot of people have been asking about what's going to happen this weekend with the protocols. We now have the full update for you on what the protocols are for this weekend and into the following week. So let's go now to that official statement, and you will be so guided accordingly.
Fouexe, tout gens cette Lucie, my fellow St. Lucians. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs is relieved to note a decline in active cases associated with the fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in St. Lucia. Our active cases have dropped to 350 cases. We also note a steady decline in the rate of transmission. We have been able to commence the face-to-face opening of school and look forward to keeping our children at school in a safe learning environment. That these gains were achieved at a time when the number of cases and deaths globally and regionally continue to rise is an accomplishment for which you, the people of St. Lucia, deserve full credit. It is your great sacrifice and cooperation in adhering to the various protocols that has taken us to where we are today. Even as we acknowledge these gains, we cannot forget our losses. On behalf of the Prime Minister, my cabinet colleagues, and on my own behalf, I wish to extend my sincere condolences to the families and loved ones of the 253 victims of COVID-19 in our country. Government is determined to draw on all resources at its disposal to give the best chance of survival to those who are infected by COVID-19 and require hospitalization. To this end, we continue to give focused attention to improving the conditions at the respiratory hospital. This week, for the very first time, at the Victoria Hospital, we installed a central electronic monitoring system. When completed, doctors and nurses will be able to view the status of patients on one screen and in one location. We will continue to prioritize the COVID-19 immunization program. We are encouraged to note an increase in the number of vaccinations over the last few weeks. Now, just over 1 in 5, or 22% of St. Lucians, is vaccinated, and just over 1 in 4 St. Lucians, or 27% of the population, have received 1 dose of a vaccine. We have also started providing booster doses for special groups who received their second vaccine dose 6 months ago. As encouraging as these developments may be, we know that we are a long way off from the ideal situation where vaccination is concerned. Our vaccination rate is well below that of many countries in the Caribbean. We aim to catch up. We must do better because St. Lucia is still at a critical stage in its fight against the 4th wave of this pandemic. As we enter the festive season, we cannot let our guard down. We are not unmindful of the desire of all St. Lucians, especially our business persons, to get a little relief from the protocols. Every meeting of the COVID-19 Management Center and the Cabinet is dominated by discussions about how we might do this. And every discussion ends with the painful conclusion that premature relief would lead to long-term damage to our society and our economy. There is consensus, however, that going forward, we should provide as much predictability in the protocols as is possible to allow our citizens and business persons to plan their affairs. After discussions and dialogue with the members of the COVID-19 Management Center and the Cabinet of Ministers, new protocols have been recommended. Commencing Monday, November 1st, 2021, and ending Tuesday, November 30th, 1. Confinement to residents will continue in effect from Monday to Friday from 10 p.m. and end at 4 a.m. 2. Confinement on weekends will be as follows. On Saturday, November 6th and Saturday, November 13th, 2021, confinement will start at 10 p.m. and end at 4 a.m. on the following Monday. On Sunday, November 21st and Sunday, November 28th, 2021, confinement will start from 1 p.m. each day until 4 a.m. the following Monday. I repeat, on Sunday, November 21st and Sunday, November 28th, 2021, confinement will start from 1 p.m. each day until 4 a.m. the following Monday. 3. On Sunday, November 7th and Sunday, November 14th, a person may attend the religious ceremony during confinement but must return to his or her residence by 1 p.m. on that day. 4. A person may host or attend a social event with 50 or less fully vaccinated persons. An application must be made to and approval must be granted by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs. 5. Religious ceremonies are allowed based on the square footage of the organization in keeping with approved COVID-19 response plan. Special religious rites, including weddings, baptisms, and funerals, are permitted with 100 or less persons. 6. An approved bar with a valid liquor license is permitted to operate from 10 a.m. until closure of business to fully vaccinated persons only. 7. Dine-in service at approved restaurants and food establishments is allowed to fully vaccinated patrons only. Takeaway, meaning grab and go, and delivery services will be permitted at other establishments. 8. A certified accommodation provider or an approved tourism establishment may permit a fully vaccinated person access to the services offered by the provider or establishment. 9. All educational institutions may open for face-to-face engagement to facilitate structured supervision from November 8, 2021. The Ministry of Education, Sustainable Development, Innovation, Science, Technology, and Vocational Training will communicate the confirmed dates to the public. The government of St. Lucia will continue to monitor the trends during this period, and the protocols will be reviewed in relation to the festive season in December. Let us all continue adhering to the protocols to reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus and to return our country to the level of normalcy which we all desire. I thank you.
Honorable Minister there is JnBaptiste filling us in on what's going to be happening, and I know a lot of people, the speculation was rife as to exactly what would be happening protocol-wise, but as you indicated, that the Minister took the time to explain where we are at with COVID-19, the number of active cases. We just had the 300 mark there, and so we've seen great progress from what we were at over 2,000, and now we're down to just at the 300 mark, and so it means that we've made great strides in being able to bring down the level of infection and so forth, but we're not out of the woods as yet. And so protocols for this weekend would maintain as what we would have experienced the last weekend, and so Homer, we will now see the time period confinement being from 7 p.m.
Right.
on the Saturday. On Sunday, you ought to be confined, however, going to church services, that's permissible.
Yes.
But you must be back at home by 1 p.m. And of course, and then the whole new set of protocols now would come into effect in November, the 1st of November, which is the Monday.
Yeah.
And we also heard there that schools to recommence November 8th, but of course the Ministry of Education would be given more information where that is concerned.
That's right.
And so we are fast trying to, regain Homer, our independence from COVID-19, if you will. We're beginning to take control again, and that is fabulous. It's been so long that we've not been able to feel ourselves free of the clutches of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. But as the minister said, Homer, adhering to the protocols is what's really going to get us there, because the festive season is right there knocking. And, we do not want us to go back into the situation where we were last time, that after the Christmas and New Year's period, we found that we had another spike.
That's true, Lisa. And so the important thing is, yes, we are at low numbers. Maintaining that is what's important. So ensuring that we still adhere to those protocols. We do the necessaries to ensure we're keeping ourselves, our loved ones safe. And do you know what those are? Ensure that you're sanitizing regularly and that you social distancing, your masks in public, ensuring that you're taking all the necessary protocols, ensuring that your celebrations, whether it be Creole celebrations or Christmas celebrations, are limited to in-home, the people who live in your house only. Ensure there's more food for you. Let me tell you, I don't know why you would complain about about that. So you think about it this way and be happy about it.
Homer, you're talking about more food being available. When I told you about cooking, you cringed a bit. So you're just the eater, Homer. You're not in there preparing the dishes.
Unfortunately, I'm the one preparing the dishes too, but I can enjoy my labor. That's
So
what
you,
I mean.
those people, you eat while you work.
I am, you know.
So by the time you're
So by the
done,
time I'm done, I need like 2-3 hours before I could really sit and eat again.
but it's not so fabulous. We want to thank you so much. Bon fête Creole,
Bon
Homer.
fête Creole, indeed, Lisa.
You know, we tried to do the Creole thing.
Yeah,
and
we give it
not,
a bit of that.
yes, mix it up a bit. I know that Madras has become very popular, but I've always been told, you know, within my family, you know, floral stuff is, you know, that sort of old Creole thing and you know, patterns and so forth. So love what you're wearing. Wonderful design, fully
Thank
designed
you.
there by Homer DeMarc.
Oh, Lord.
That's Homer's design by Homer. There's also, you know, there's an international conference in place, right? Yeah,
Yes, thank you so
next
much
door.
for reminding me of that, Lisa. You know, Creole celebrations. You can, of course, go onto the Folk Research Center's Facebook page. That is the Creole conference happening. It's on until 1 p.m. today. It started yesterday, and we're really talking about the power of the Creole language and how, you know, it can be used for, you know, in alignment with the theme Creole Kaji. Kajewi, which is culture heals. So looking at and how the Creole language can be used within our society, how it can be used for unity and for healing as well. So you can, of course, check that out on the Folk Research Center Facebook page. They're currently live with that from the Financial Center. So that's definitely something you can take in. The Southwest Community College also put on a talent expose where you could also view on the Folk Research Center's page. So the administrators, the lecturers all came together and just put out their talent all in celebration for 1/8. That is really cool too. You could definitely check that out.
And we want you to be able to have absolute fun. Remember, confined to your home. If you're going out to church, make sure you're back home by 1 p.m. Let's follow all what those protocols are. You're going to have lunch at home. Make sure it's with your family members, 10 persons, so forth. So let's just enjoy ourselves and let's be safe doing so and do the national duty by adhering to the protocols. Do not endanger yourself, your family, other loved ones, the community at large. Let's take hold of COVID-19. Herma and Lisa will be back with you, God willing, on Monday. Enjoy the weekend.